At all times, nomads owned 5 types of weapons. These were remote combat weapons, long-range weapons, piercing weapons and shock-crushing weapons, and of course, arms needed for close combat. I'm Arman, and you're watching Ethnosport. We want to present our entire history, our entire culture in a dynamic way. How can we do this? Today we will talk about the nomadic weapons of different historical periods. We will also try ancient armor, touch and try the old weapons. We will shoot arrows with a bow. We will also ride horses and see how the ancient nomads used their weapons while riding horses. I'm now wearing a Shaka tigrahoud costume. In Persian, tigrahoud means those wearing pointy headdresses. I now have the most basic set. The kind of attire a common soldier would wear, not a tribe leader. These are special pants. As we know, one of the hypotheses is that it was the Central Asian nomads that invented pants and introduced them to the world.
Одна из гипотез, что штаны человечеству подарили именно кочевники. Отдельно нужно сказать о головных уборах.
I have to tell you about the Saka headgear, because they laid the fashion for all the following centuries. That Saka cap had this shape and had an earpiece and a pot to cover the back of the head. Its design has survived to the present day. Both Kazakh, Malakai and Timak descended from the ancient Saka cap. Well, my kit is very interesting indeed. It is universal. Such kit dates back to the early 9th century. It is a Turkic set. Consists of a ringed armor, lightweight helmet called misoka. This is a helmet of a commander. What is its feature? It does not constrain the movement of the head, and I can speak loudly. When the aventail covers the face like this, the sound is not audible. But when I give the command in this helmet, everyone can hear me. Please note, there is no shield, although it seems to me the commander would need it. These bracers were used as shield. They are made of thick steel, very durable. I can safely close take a blow with them. As you can see, I wear armor and weapons of the Kazakh Khanate warrior. I have all 5 types of weapons with me. Stanislav Potapov here is an archaeologist. He will tell you more about these items. Well, for starters, let's free our hands. Let's put the spears away. The first type of weapon is a bow with arrows. It is a long-range weapon. The Central Asian nomads were always ready to fight back and attack. Therefore, it unfolds in one movement. Let me demonstrate it. And then I can immediately take out the arrow, stretch it on a bow in one motion and shoot. I think if we had a duel, I would be killed immediately. So what is the secret to quickly pulling out a bow and shooting? Well, it has been practiced for centuries, how to do it correctly. You place your hand here, you see. So I roll out, and with this movement I hold the bow. Are you following me? Keep your wrists straight. Now here with one finger I pick up and slightly pull out easily. You can take an arrow at the same time, and take out the bow and arrow. This is what you get. The bow unfolds. You place the arrow in the direction where your legs are. Correct. Bow, bow. Yes, right there. And here with one movement you put, and with the same movement you pull the arrow. Don't shoot the cameraman, please. Wait, you put your legs like this and shoot. There. Ah, along the same line. Yes, exactly, the line of your feet. Where else can you get a masterclass like this? Here in the Nomad Ethnosport Center. Take the initial position. Right there, just like that. You take them simultaneously. Place the arrow, no, from the other side. The other side, from the right side. You are shooting with a ringed end. Seems easy at first, but it's not so simple. You need to practice more. It's harder also because you need to shoot with a ringed end. Oh yeah, of course. I take the arrow at once with 3 fingers. I pull out with the same movement. I immediately reset the arrow and grab the ring. Here it is. Then I stretch by pulling the ring. I have more tension in my stretch. When you do this, the arrow flies faster and it's less risk of injury. You have a soft bowstring. A stiffer bow will simply cut off your finger. You can't shoot without a ring normally. This is something to strive for. Well, let's continue our tour in the world of nomadic arms and weapons. The next long-range weapon is just a spear or lance. Here too there are many subtleties and tricks. You may think what can be easier than to strike your enemy with a spear, but in reality it is difficult. Why? Because it can be dangerous and requires a good technique. Just holding it in a combat position is already a challenge. I hold my elbow up, do you see? I have the braces, so I feel better, and accordingly I can strike. The second point is the striking itself. When you blow or strike, the spear must be rolling. If it's a little scroll, the spear will get stuck. You can only have one chance for a good strike. That is the special feature of it, and it affects the accuracy of the strike. It's like playing pool with only one hand. I see that the tips of our spears are different. Yeah, they are different. Why is that? I have an armor-piercing tip, so it's designed for someone like me. Yes, it will even pierce through this kind of armor. You have an interesting spear tip. It was first invented in the Bronze Age in the Neolithic, and it was used until the end of the Kazakh Khanate. It was universal. So, as universal as the Kalashnikov assault rifle was in the 20th century. Yes, exactly. Very universal. This is what it means to be a nomad. There are a variety of techniques of using it in combat. When you are on a horse, there are many tricks too. If I, having stuck a blow, miss the target, I can still hit you with a spear from the back of your head. There are many options. A spear is also a rather dangerous weapon, a universal one. Accuracy and strength are important, but the horse has to be strong too. If the horse is weak, you can't do anything with a spear. What is the difference between spear and lance? So the spear is what we are holding. It is relatively light, while the length in this case is about 3 meters there, even less. The length of the lance starts from 4.5 meters and reaches 7 meters, and it is made from a whole Tian Shan spruce. In this part, the lance is usually very wide, so you can hold it from this side, but its total weight is about 20 kilograms, just like a barbell. But there is a counterweight, therefore it actually produces an even more accurate blow. But a lance is largely a disposable weapon. You can strike with a spear and use it again, and you can't do that with a lance. Lances are used only during attacks. The main goal is to knock the enemy down. But there were great warriors, the Barters, who could knock down 4 to 5 people. But that is very difficult. It requires a hand movement at a great speed. So the most skilled warriors used to strike and immediately pull out the lance and repeat that again. It's extremely hard to pull out the lance. While pulling out the lance, the rider must also step back with a horse. Only then the lance comes out, and then he had to strike again immediately. It was very difficult. Most of the warriors did not have this technique. In fact, it's like fencing with swords. Means I have to strike and step back. The nomads wanted their items to remain simple. They could easily turn such a formidable weapon into sports equipment. They just flipped the end and played with it to tease friends. But in all sporting tournaments, they used the combat tip, but they were not allowed to kill each other during competitions. This means there should have been such an accuracy of the strike, for example, to knock the opponent off their horse, slightly injure them without killing. It was a matter of honor. How could they slightly injure and not kill? They had extensive combat experience. The competition participants were rarely under 40 years old. So, did I pass this second exam? Well done. Everything is clear with the spears. Let's move to another weapon. Here I have a few devices. I do not know what these are. Let's take a closer look at each of them. Well, let's move to medium-range weapons. This can be an axe called Ibalta. It may be a sword. Here, Ibalta is a very interesting weapon. This is the only axe that allowed fighting against the saber. Yes, I see it is a special one. What do you call this part? It has no special name. You don't grab it in this spot. It could have blades. This is a hook. You grab from here and you can hook my saber and pull it out accordingly. And now, can you show me how it's done? Let's try. You strike from here and I strike here. This is an ordinary saber collision. Here we are changing. Here once. You push me in and you have to go down. Take this second hand and twist up. Like this. So here, my hand breaks out. Great. On horseback, if I don't release the weapon, we'll ride further. I will remain without a hand. That is, this is one of these clever tricks. Here it is. Ibalta is a very complex axe. It requires a great technique. And here we are seeing another type of medium combat weapon. Shock-crushing weapons. It's a mace, or boss moyen, translated as a flexible neck. This weapon crushes any shield, any armor. Accordingly, it is very dangerous. But like any weapon, you can easily hurt yourself. That is why it is very important to remain careful and not to hurt oneself. You have a good shield, good armor. You have additional protection. It will work. Shock-crushing weapons. Ibalta originates from the boss moyen technique. So, our ancestors took the relatively peaceful non-combat boss moyen, made it into an Ibalta, an axe. The technique is the same rotation, the same interceptions. And if, let's say, two warriors attack each other with these weapons, who will win? Well, most likely you. If we are talking about the Kazakhs, all Kazakhs owned this type of weapon. If we are talking about the Mongols or Europeans, then only the leading warriors had such weapons. And then the odds change. That is, respectively, I can catch the Ibalta and pull it out of your hands. But I have this option, non-combat version. When you are on a horse and you have real weapons in your hands, then of course you want to be able to be statuesque and match the entire image of a warrior. Somewhere from the depth of my DNA memory I have all these skills. I can hold a saber and sit on a horse. And I have a cry, a combat cry that naturally comes to my mind. It is called Uran in the Kazakh. By the way, the word hooray probably originates from this word. The next weapon of medium-range combat is either chopping or cutting arms. Cutting arm is a saber. It strikes and cuts. When I reach, I do a slicing motion. I cut the rings. Started where you first strike and then you slice. The last sharp end will cut you. So really your saber can cut my armor. Well, you have a very expensive armor, and I will not cut it with one blow. I'll need 5 to 10 strikes. And here, respectively, there is a certain combat technique. So here we are on horses. So I start the movement. Do you see? Your horse started retreating. If you can't reach me, don't hit me right away. If you, for example, hit but you don't reach me, you will fall through and open yourself. Therefore, you hit only at a distance of a real strike. Yes, like this. You can turn. What are some of the advantages? Suppose I approach you from this side and I can equally use my right and left hands. You are uncomfortable, but it is very convenient for me, and I feel uncomfortable. And so you're finished. This is another advantage, a technique the nomads used. When the nomads were engaged in a combat, they used all the 5 types of weapons. Any one of them could use a bow, saber, spear and dagger. Finally, we have another set of interesting weapons, especially here. Kazakh Ibalta, a horse axe. Here it is. Everything is exactly the same as with a saber. No difference actually. Here it is, do you see? But there is an advantage. You can change its length during battle, make it shorter or longer. You are trying to hook. Yes, if I don't help you, you won't be able to hook. Like this. Just don't hang down. Up. Do not lower down. Yes. Do not lower down.
Раз. Нет. Смотри.
Okay, got it. Up, up. Look, I'll show you again. I will go back. I hooked you, and I tore out an axe from you. I will come closer with a horse, and I will take the axe from you. Got it. Got it. Well, I will not break your hand, but you understood. Now you throw the saber from me. Well done. Well, then you can strike me in the head. Look, the blow goes straight into the head. Yes, good. Then the blow targets the chest. No, not like that. Just raise your hand up. I'll show you. A blow is struck in the chest so as not to injure a horse. A horse is a military trophy. You don't want to hurt it. Here I go. I strike you from here. I'll show you. Not from the top. I go past the horse's head and I strike. Here, try. Here I have the saber there, and here you go over your head. And that's all. Due to the fact that your eyeball tie can be made longer, you can strike me earlier. So this is a very tricky and smart weapon. This invention is completely unique. I successfully passed the test on using the third type of weapons. And now we will learn about the fourth type of weapons, the shock-crushing ones. I have a mace, a shock-crushing weapon. This is a combat weapon. You have shock bar. This weapon was used for barimta, cattle raiding, not for combat. What are some of the specificities? There are no restrictions on armor. I don't look where I hit. I do not care. It can break through everything. I don't care where I hit you. Plus, this is a very insidious blow. Here I can strike, won't even notice anything. Here comes the exam. Good, good. Well, galloping a little bit like that. And not into my back. Almost caught you. You did. You passed the test. Finally, apart from medium-range weapons, the nomads had close combat arms, a knife or dagger. Very often there may be situations when in a battle we are moving closer to each other, and in this case the dagger can help a lot. Here, for example, take a saber or eyeball tie. Imagine we're fighting here. I come closer and no, do not move away. I'm at a highly dangerous proximity to you. I take the dagger and it goes like this. You didn't even see it coming, and therefore the nomads trained their horses not let other horses or rider to come too close. But in the heat of a battle it can happen, and what is the advantage of a dagger? This is a Kazakh dagger. It has a trapezoidal shape. I can actually stab with my left hand even though I'm right-handed. I'll get right between the plates with any stab. The blow with a dagger is applied so that the enemy usually doesn't even see it. Only once, and between the plates we go. You do not expect anything, yes. I come closer and I immediately stab with a dagger just between the plates. Here I pass by. You expect nothing, and then just in an instant I sting. Well, a weapon for close combat, is it after all visible for the unmounted? Not. It was superbly used in mounted combat. Let me show you. Take the sword. Only you do not touch the dagger. Here it is. I hold it visibly. You can see that my left hand is unarmed. The weapon is here. You can't see it. Here we are with you, and I specifically raise you higher and cut your ligaments on your arm. When you have no ligaments, the saber falls down. Second option. You and I grappled at the top. Here, just grappled. Push down with a saber, and I cut you a bunch again. Well, and finally, the cruelest option when you fight with someone, you don't see me at all. I simply pass by and strike a blow in your liver, kidneys, spleen area. Here the armor is always moving here, it's not fixed, so the dagger pierces through. So it is a very effective weapon. Well, not to mention the fact that you can also throw it at your enemy. At this stage of my development as a nomad warrior, I have absolutely no chance if I run into a warrior like our Stanislav. While we have only a few athletes who can operate with the actual weapons and armor. There aren't so many of us. My time travel is coming to an end. I spent a whole day wearing an attire of a nomadic warrior. And what I can say is that it was really hard carrying 20 kilograms of armor plus a variety of weapons. It requires such physical preparations and training. Therefore, dear friends, do sports. I am Arman, and this was Ethnosport. See you soon. To the kumirs? Hey, we are going to get some kumirs.